Welcome to Pre-Lab with Mr. Van Dyke. We are pre-labbing our macromolecule lab. This way we'll have a better idea and can get working right away. You'll have one day to find your data to show which indicator to test for which macromolecule. Now if we ever want to know what's in what we're eating, this is one way we can do that. Now there are other ways to find out how much, and specifically the amounts, but this is our general beginning of what we're starting with. So on your paper you have your directions, and we'll walk through these directions, but before we begin, there are some general safety concerns, the first being your eyes. You want to keep them? Wear the goggles. Goggles are worn at all time and needed for this lab. Another concern is when you have your backpacks on your table, they need to be cleared out of the way so they are not a safety hazard. This is the hot plate, not just a clever name, it is hot. Just like your pot on a stove, it has boiling water, and it has a hot surface. You don't touch the hot plate, no. Welcome back to the pre-lab. We are going to examine some of the materials we're going to be using, things that you might not be exactly familiar with. First off, our trusty pipette. This holds 1 milliliter of water. You want to suck up the water until just before the end of the bulb, and you'll have 1 milliliter of whatever liquid you're working with in here. Then just gently squeeze, and the water will empty back into it. We'll also be using test tube rack, test tube clamp, squeeze to open, relax to close. You can hold your test tube with it. We'll have more on this when we get to the Benedict's test, but useful for holding things that are hot. Our indicators are Biuret, Benedict's, iodine. All these will be at your lab stations, plus white pieces of paper so you can complete the test. And again, we're using these to test for different macromolecules. We want to see which indicator shows for glucose, protein, lipids, and starch. So each of these are labeled so you can tell which one it is, and then we can figure out what indicators they are. So this is really the setup for later on when we are testing an unknown substance. So this will give us our set data and something to compare to. So these are really what will end up being our data to know what's going through us or what we're eating. We can use these to test that. Now there are other ways to do that, but this way we get to know exactly what it is. Now we'll move on to each particular test. I'm going to go a little bit out of order. We're going to start with our Biuret's test and iodine test. Both of these are executed the same way. You take 1 milliliter of water in your trusty pipette, add it to the test tube, then add 3 to 4 drops of your indicator. And this is the same for the iodine. Give it a little swirl, see what happens, see if there's any sort of reaction. Now this is just water, so there won't be a reaction because I don't want to give away the surprise. Who wants that? So that is the test for both Benedict's and Biuret's. And the best thing to do is to hold up your test tube to a white piece of paper. Sometimes it helps to look at the bottom to see if there was a color change or anything that indicates a reaction occurred. Now our next test is set up much in a similar way, and that is the Benedict's. Add 1 milliliter of water, 3 to 4 drops of Benedict's. Then you'll also be adding your substances to these. This is just water and Benedict's because I don't want to give away the surprise, like I said. Join me at the hot plate. Welcome to the hot plate. Now we want to add our Benedict's to the heat. We put our test tube in the test tube clamp, put our test tube in the water, let it go, let it cook for about 5 minutes, then we'll see if anything happens. Again, this is just an example. You will have your substance in there. Mine is just water. So after 5 minutes, take your test tube clamp, remove it, return it to your test tube rack.